happening where you are?
Well, a very good morning to you, Desiree, and to our viewers. Relatively calm here today, very different scenes from what was seen here yesterday. We do understand that 2 of the 4 suspects who were arrested in connection with the murder of Heather Peterson have been released. We spoke to the police. A spokesperson, Kema Kubele, who did confirm the fact that 2 of the suspects were released. He also indicated that they were released because they could not find any evidence that linked them to the murder of Heather Peterson and to the attempted murder of her niece. So that is why some residents took to the streets yesterday. But as you can see behind me, relatively calm. Speaking to some residents who also complained that they don't feel safe anymore. This because the tactical response team that was deployed here in October is no longer visible in the area, saying they would like Minister Begiqele to ensure that the TRT patrolling officers are back in the area because they felt safer with the presence of the police. Well, of course, we will keep on keeping an eye on the developments that go on here today. We'll speak to police spokesperson Kema Kubele a little bit later on, to tell us any more developments. But the police have been able to clear all the roads that have been blocked. The tensions are not so high anymore, and residents are going about their usual business. Well, we did speak to some residents also off camera who say they will want to protest because they're feeling unsafe and they do not understand why 2 of the 4 suspects were released, saying that they don't feel safe anymore since their release. So those are the things that are happening currently here in Westbury.
Mr. Makubele gave you the reasons why these 2 were released. But in terms of your conversations with the community, do they feel that these suspects are actually directly involved?
Well, of course, that's exactly what they said. They said these are well-known criminals in the area, so they do not understand why they were released. The police on this side citing a lack of evidence that links these 2 suspects to the murder of Heather. So it's a very complicated issue here. The residents saying they know very well that they were involved. The police saying there's no evidence to prove that. So it's a case of he says, she says, but the police at this point have every right to release whoever they feel that is not linked to the crime. But the question remains, if the community members know that they are directly linked to these murders and the fact that they're well-known criminals, what are they doing to let the police know and to give the police more evidence as to what it is that these community members know that could possibly help the police in keeping these suspects behind bars? But the police saying there's no evidence to prove those allegations, right? Of course, the other 2, there was evidence that linked them to the murders. So it's only a matter of the community members coming forth with the information that they have to actually pinpoint that this is where these criminals are linked to this and this is what they do, with evidence so that the police can then take it up further.
Lopang, in your conversation with the community members, have you been able to find out from them why, in a situation where they could approach law enforcement officers and give concrete evidence, have they chosen instead to protest and damage public property?
Well, of course, Desiree, the same conversation was spoken about 2 months ago when violent protests broke out here. The fact that community members saying they know who the criminals are, but the police coming back to say, but no one is coming forth with that information. So they say until the minister brings back the tactical response team, and they've also gotten the trust back in the police station, the Sophia Town police station, which is their community police station, only then will they be comfortable enough to speak to the police officers. We do understand that there were claims by the residents that the criminals and the police are in cahoots, and that's why they felt uncomfortable with disclosing any kind of information that they had. So it's a matter of the community members trusting the police enough to come forth with information.
You say that it's quiet at the moment. Do you know if there are any plans for further protests?
Speaking to community leaders, and they say we're just going to have to wait and see. They need to speak to some more community members to find out how they're feeling and what plans of approach they have next. But we also understand that they're really unhappy with the fact that those two suspects have gotten back into the community, saying that they don't feel safe. So we understand that they're uncomfortable with having people who've been linked to such a murder. So they say they will have to take action, but as to what that action is, we will yet to see.
Thank you very much for that latest feedback. Lopang Alamu is in Westbury.